Sir,
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If
You're
you
gonna
want to
lecture
talk
me
about
dividing this country?
It is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this country.
to not
Senator,
take
it is
my
responsibility
time.
for
You
what you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what
you
my
tell-
time is.
Senator,
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my time's over?
You may be the charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not.
Before we get into anything else, I need you to see what this hearing turns into. Because when Senator Booker finally hits the breaking point with Kash Patel, the entire room tilts. It's not subtle, it's not quiet, and it's not what Patel wanted. But to understand how the hearing exploded into that moment, the raised voices, the chair stepping in, the refusal to be steamrolled, we have to rewind to the very beginning, because the tension didn't suddenly appear out of thin air. It built, slowly, sharply, and relentlessly. This hearing is what happens when a witness walks into a room thinking he can filibuster, duck, distort, and maybe even outlast the clock, only to meet a senator who refuses to let evasion masquerade as testimony. And right from Patel's first exchange with Senator Booker, you can feel him slipping. Watch closely, the questions aren't complicated. They aren't trick questions. They're simple, foundational accountability questions. Did you have pre-confirmation discussions about removing FBI officials? Did you testify that Trump declassified the documents at Mar-a-Lago? Did you act on political loyalty tests inside a federal law enforcement agency? And instead of answering, Patel tries something else entirely. Hedging, swerving, sidestepping, almost anything except directness. This is why today's breakdown matters. Because we're not just looking at political theater, we're looking at a Trump-aligned official under pressure, trying to navigate legal exposure, public scrutiny, and his own previous statements, all while a senator is laying out evidence that he knows Patel can't easily wriggle out of. Pay attention to the...
Mr. Patel, I want to start off where we left off last time. I asked you whether you had any knowledge or discussions about removing FBI officials and installing political personnel before you were confirmed to that position. And I wonder, did you then understand or have conversations with the White House about the intentions to do so?
Before I was confirmed,
Yes, sir.
did I have discussions with the White House to remove FBI personnel?
Yes.
No.
So you're saying that you had no discussions with the White House before you were in the position about the removal of any personnel from the agency?
As I was preparing for my confirmation hearing, I had numerous discussions involving the type of people that would be employed, and that those that were failing to meet the mark at the FBI would no longer be employed if I were
And
confirmed.
I'm assuming that mark had to do with loyalty to the Trump administration.
No, you're wrong.
Okay. I'd like to revisit another subject from that hearing. Did you testify, excuse me, you did testify before the grand jury that President Trump had declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Is that correct?
I don't have the grand jury transcript. That's why I released it. Whatever it says is the best evidence.
You know, that's what you said to Senator Whitehouse, that your grand jury testimony was publicly released. It has not been. In fact, in July, a court denied a news outlet's bid to get that transcript. But the court said quite clearly that you are free to discuss your grand jury testimony. So I ask you again, did you testify before the grand jury that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified document case?
And that is why I took your invitation to work with the department and the court to have that transcript released. And the transcript is the best evidence of what I said then.
So you're saying right now this committee can have access to what you said before the grand jury?
To whatever was released. Under my understanding, Senator,
So
that the Department of
hold on.
Justice
You and I both
released...
understand the law. Let me finish. I understand under Rule 6 of the Federal Rules of Procedure, a grand jury witness, in this case you, is not barred from sharing their grand jury testimony. This is an oversight hearing. This is germane to your integrity and credibility. You know right now whether or not you testified that President Trump declassified the documents at issue in the Mar-a-Lago classified documents case. Why are you refusing to answer that simple yes or no question right now?
Because the premise of your question is inaccurate, and
There is no
why.
premise to my question, but trying to get to an order of what is truth or not.
How do you
Did
know
you or did you?
How do you know what was asked in the grand jury if you weren't there?
Mr. Patel, this is a mockery you're making of this hearing and simple questions.
It's a
So let
simple
me move on.
question. If you have a
Mr. Patel,
transcript, you
during
can
your
read the question,
nomination
but you don't have
hearing,
it.
you promised that, quote, all FBI employees will be protected against political retribution. When I asked you, are you aware of any plans or discussions to punish in any way, including termination, FBI agents or personnel associated with the Trump administration, you explicitly said under oath that you were not aware of any plans to punish FBI agents associated with criminal investigations of Donald Trump. I don't believe you were truthful. Firing FBI employees based solely on the cases that they are investigating, their case assignments, is illegal, and you know that. A new lawsuit that's been discussed numerous times, filed by 3 FBI officials, alleges that you carried out Donald Trump's campaign of retribution, in quotes, against FBI employees for, quote, failure to demonstrate sufficient political loyalty. One of those plaintiffs has been discussed today, Brian Driscoll. Now, we know 20 years of distinguished service to the FBI before you terminated him. Special agent in charge of FBI's Newark field office, where he operated with distinction. Medal of Valor winner, Shield of Bravery awards. He's a patriot. You terminated Driscoll via a letter dated October 8th, 2025, and in that letter you said that you were firing him pursuant to Article 2 of the Constitution. Well, you're not the President of the United States, and so I'm wondering under what authority you were allowed to terminate him.
That matter is under litigation, and I'm not able to discuss it.
Okay, well, discuss this. Did you have discussions with Stephen Miller about firing this particular person or about his continuance in the FBI?
Not that I recall.
How often do you speak to Stephen Miller?
Frequently on our Homeland Security task forces.
You frequently talk with Stephen Miller about subjects other than Homeland Security Task Force issues, correct?
I frequently talk to Mr. Miller about Homeland Security task forces.
Has Stephen Miller ever given you his opinions on how to run your agency?
Mr. Miller's interagency operations are invaluable to the FBI. That's what we talk about.
So you frequently discuss your...
That was the warm-up, and look at how much was already on the table. This is the kind of exchange where the witness thinks that by refusing to acknowledge the premise of a question, he can neutralize the entire inquiry. But here's the issue. You can't neutralize facts just by saying your premise is inaccurate. Eventually, you have to explain why. And Patel never does. Watch the pattern. Booker asks if Patel had discussions with the White House about removing FBI personnel before he was confirmed. Patel first denies it. Then he softens it. Then he reframes it. That's 3 different answers in under 30 seconds. That's not confidence, that's collision avoidance. Then Booker moves to the Mar-a-Lago documents case. This is the moment where a witness usually settles down and picks a lane, because grand jury testimony isn't something you improvise around. It's documented. It's sworn. And, as Booker points out, Patel is legally free to discuss what he himself said. But Patel would rather hover in a gray zone. He says the transcript is the best evidence. He claims he asked for it to be released, but he still refuses to state what his testimony actually was, even when the question is narrowed down to a simple yes or no. That hesitation matters. Because when a witness runs away from their own sworn statements, it's not subtle. Anyone can see it. And Booker sees it instantly. Then Booker transitions into something deeper, something Patel really can't pivot away from. The documented allegations that he carried out political retribution inside the FBI. Lawsuits filed by longtime agents, claims that senior officials were pushed out based on loyalty, not performance. Claims that diverge wildly from Patel's confirmation hearing promises. Here is where Patel's answers stop being evasive and start being thin. When asked about firing a career agent, someone with decades of experience and distinguished service, Patel refuses to explain under what authority he terminated him. That's a red flag for any oversight hearing. And Booker points out exactly why. Patel is not the president. Article 2 does not give him firing authority the way he used it, and refusing to answer that question isn't a legal requirement. It's a choice. And it's a choice that says a lot. Then Booker exposes something else. The regular communications between Patel and Trump advisors like Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi. Patel tries to limit this to Homeland Security task forces. But Booker catches the shift. Patel admits he speaks to Miller frequently. He admits Miller's interagency advice shapes how he runs the FBI. That's not neutral. That's political influence inside the nation's top law enforcement agency. Booker then frames the consequences. Not as speculation, as a pattern. Senior experts pushed out. First time ever that FBI director and deputy director have no FBI experience. Agents diverted from critical missions to lower-tier political priorities. Entire task forces disbanded. Vacancies projected to take 14 years to fill. Patel doesn't dispute most of this. Instead, he complains about Booker's premises. But as the viewer, look carefully. You'll notice Patel avoids providing alternate facts. He just tries to erase the ones he doesn't like. By this point, Booker's frustration is entirely visible and earned. When a witness refuses to answer, refuses to engage, and refuses to defend their own record except by attacking the question, the hearing starts tilting toward confrontation. And that tilt
About.
So you frequently discuss your job and your responsibilities with Stephen Miller and Pam Bondi, I imagine, as well.
Absolutely. She's the Attorney General.
Understood. Okay. Donald Trump promised to make us all safer. You have pushed out senior FBI agents with decades of knowledge and experience. In fact, this is the first time in FBI history that neither the director nor the deputy director have any experience with the FBI. You've shifted the agency's priorities primarily to pursuing Donald Trump's immigration enforcement agenda. According to ICE data, the Cato Institute, which is a conservative think tank, found that 20% of all agents have been diverted from their work to assist ICE immigration enforcement. 20%. Part of this operation is the work of mass law enforcement who jump out of cars, snatch people off streets at churches, schools, and their jobs and hospitals. Have there been any FBI agents who investigate crimes against children that have been assigned to immigration enforcement, yes or no?
The premise of what you say is entirely
Have there been
false.
any FBI agents who investigate
no.
foreign domestic terrorism?
You don't get to say America is not safer under this
I am
leadership.
not saying
America
that.
is
You're
safer
making
because of the work of the FBI.
You're making a presumption of premise.
4,700 children.
Sir,
we have seized
you have-
6,000 weapons and
you are not
23,000 violent
denying
felons have
that
been
FBI
arrested.
agents who investigate human trafficking have been reassigned to immigration enforcement. You are not denying that FBI agents who are on the task force that fight against Russian oligarchs have not been reassigned. Public Corrections Squad reassigned. People who defend us, defend children reassigned. You're not denying that. I've seen you
FBI
time and
agents
time
don't
again
get reassigned.
attack my colleagues' premises of questions as a way to not answer the question. So let me end with this. I believe you have made our country weaker and less safe. I believe that we are more vulnerable to a major event, and I pray to God it doesn't happen. You've gutted the Bureau of Institutional Knowledge and Expertise. You fired or pushed out seasoned FBI officials, many with more than 20 years of experience, and were working on cases that were critical. You've been purging thousands of serious law enforcement officials who spent their careers keeping us safe, only to lower hiring standards in order to find anyone to replace them. And shockingly, you admitted in this hearing to Senator Coons that it would take 14 years to fill the vacancies at your agency. Many are the result of your purge. 20% of FBI agents are doing low-level immigration enforcement instead of their mission-critical work. You've disbanded entire task forces that stop election interference, foreign influence, public corruption. And who benefits from this? Well, corrupt people benefit from it. Criminals benefit from it. Vladimir Putin benefits from it. And it really makes me wonder who you're looking out for. It makes me think we can't trust you as a nation. You swear to release the Epstein files, but now you're withholding the Epstein files. You claim that you have a suspect in a serious assassination. Whoops, then you don't have a suspect. You know nothing about plans to remove FBI agents, yet you're directly involved in those plans. In the words of an ex-FBI official, you are overseeing, and I quote, generational destruction of the nation's premier law enforcement agency. Mr. Patel, in just 8 months, you have assaulted the institutional integrity of the FBI. But I know FBI field agents. I've worked with them in Newark. No matter how truly bad you are, you can't undermine the legacy of agents who fight every day to keep us safe, but you can tarnish the integrity of the agency and undermine the agency's capacity. I believe you're failing as a leader, and that your failure does have serious implications for the safety and security of Americans and our families. We're more vulnerable to domestic and foreign attack because of your failures of leadership. I don't think you're fit to head the Bureau, but here's the thing, Mr. Patel. I think you're not going to be around long. I think this might be your last oversight hearing. Because as much as you supplicate yourself to the will of Donald Trump and not the Constitution of the United States of America, Donald Trump has shown us in his first term and in this term, he is not loyal to people like you. He will cut you loose. This may be the last time I have a hearing with you because I don't think you're long for your job. But I'm going to tell you this. I pray for you. I pray for you that you can step up and defend your oath, defend the Constitution, and do a much better job of defending this country. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Do you want to say anything?
Yes,
at this
sir.
point?
That rant of false information does not bring this country together. If you want to work on bringing this country, it's my time, not yours.
My God.
If
You're
you
gonna
want to
lecture
talk
me
about
dividing this country,
it is
I
my
follow
time.
you on your social media posts that
It is
tear
my
this country
time
apart.
to
There
address
should be a
your
unifying-
falsehoods.
Oh,
You
sir,
are an
you can try
embarrassment
all
to the
you
division
want
in this
to
country.
not
Senator,
take
it is
my
responsibility
time.
for what
You
you
had
have
your
said.
time.
Sir, you're
Your
making a
time is
mockery of this
over.
committee. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over.
You
The
know how
people
far
of New
we've
Jersey
come
tell me
since
what my
you
time
tell-
is.
Senator-
You can't lecture me.
You can tell me
Sir,
my time's over?
You may be in charge of the
I'm not
FBI,
going anywhere.
but I am not afraid of you, sir.
Mr. Chairman,
Not afraid of you.
Mr. Chairman, point of order.
Senator Booker, I announced at the beginning of this meeting that this back and forth, talking over each other, doesn't work. And I said if that happened, I asked Patel not to respond, and I was going to give him some time after the senator's time was up to respond. And he has the privilege to do that uninterrupted.
Mr.
So
Chairman,
go-
one point of
Go
order.
ahead, Mr.
I've
Patel.
watched him talk over us, and you've never once criticized him for us not even being able to get our questions out.
Well,
That second half is where the mask drops. Up until this point, Patel had been evasive, defensive, occasionally combative, but still controlled. Then Booker lays out the full indictment of Patel's leadership, the gutting of institutional expertise, the weakening of national security structures, and the diversion of FBI resources away from critical threats. And Patel snaps. Not just once, multiple times. Watch how he breaks the normal norms of witness conduct. Witnesses don't attack senators personally. They don't interrupt senators during their allotted time. They don't lecture elected officials about their social media or accuse them of dividing the country. Patel does all of that in under a minute. And that's the moment Booker stops letting him talk over him. The shift is instant. Booker tells him clearly, "It's my time, not yours." And then even more forcefully, "You can't lecture me." That's not just heat. That's reclaiming procedural authority. This is the kind of public moment that sticks, because it reveals who lost control. A witness who is secure in their record does not explode like that. A witness who feels cornered does. Then the chairman has to intervene, reminding Patel, not Booker, that responding during the senator's time is inappropriate. That tells you exactly who crossed the line. But it's what happens next that really seals how far this moment went. Booker warns Patel directly, "I believe you're failing as a leader. I don't think you're long for your job." That's not rhetorical flourish. That's a senator spelling out to a top federal official that their conduct has national security consequences. Patel tries to fight back with metrics, arrest numbers, seizures, statistics. But these aren't answers to Booker's allegations. They're an alternative universe. Booker isn't claiming the FBI suddenly stopped all work. He's claiming Patel has hollowed out the institution and politicized its operations, and Patel never addresses that directly. Instead, he tries to overwhelm the moment with quantities, 23,000 arrests, 6,000 weapons, 1,500 child predators. But saying look at these numbers is not the same as explaining why experienced agents have been purged or why entire task forces have been dismantled. And that is where the viewer sees the deeper dynamic. Booker is interrogating the foundation. Patel is responding with decoration. By the time Patel finishes his defensive monologue, the shift is complete. The hearing is no longer about factual defense. It's about holding firm as the scrutiny bears down on him. This is why the final confrontation lands so heavily. Booker's closing warning. I pray for you. Defend your oath. Defend the Constitution. Is not political theater. It's the culmination of watching a witness refuse accountability for nearly 10 straight minutes. And when Patel interrupts again, Booker fires back with the line from the cold open. The line that captures the entire power struggle of this hearing. Sir, you don't tell me my time is over. The people of New Jersey tell me what my time is. That is the moment everything crystallizes. Patel overplayed his hand. Booker seized control back. And the hearing transformed from tense oversight into a clash over legitimacy, responsibility, and integrity. This is why this moment resonates. Because it's not just about a witness and a senator. It's about competing visions of public service. One rooted in accountability, one rooted in political loyalty. And in this room, on this day, the person with the questions held the upper hand. Patel wasn't leading the conversation. He was reacting to it. And every attempt to claw back control only showed how much he had already lost. That's why this hearing matters. Because under pressure, people reveal their priorities. And today, Patel revealed exactly where his are, and where they aren't. This is the kind of exchange that doesn't fade away. It becomes part of the record. If you want more breakdowns like this, where powerful people get pressed on the record, hit subscribe and drop your take in the comments. Who do you think came out stronger in this hearing? And what was the one moment that changed the whole exchange?